Have you ever found yourself wondering, is love still possible when the hair turns gray and the house grows quiet? Can companionship blossom after decades of solitude, after heartbreak, after the tides of time have washed away our youth? If you've ever felt the weight of loneliness or questioned whether it's too late to start again, then you're not alone. And today's story might just change the way you see love in your golden years. In this video, we're about to take you on a deeply emotional, eye-opening journey through the life of Mr. Tan, a 65-year-old man who dared to search for love again after years of silence and solitude. But his story isn't a fairy tale. It's raw. It's real. And it's filled with unexpected turns. What happens when two souls meet late in life, carrying the baggage of memory experience and quiet longing? What happens when the promise of happiness is derailed by something as small and as complicated as a scent stay with us until the end, because Mr. Tan's journey offers not just insight, but lessons. Lessons in empathy, in understanding, and in the often overlooked emotional terrain of remarriage and later life. His story could be yours or someone you love, and trust me, it's one you won't want to miss. Before we dive in, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. It helps us reach more hearts just like yours. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss future stories like this one. If you enjoy this video, comment 1 below. If not, leave a 0. Your feedback helps us grow. Now let's begin. Dear viewers, growing old is not just a matter of birthdays and numbers. It's a transformation, a quiet shift in the rhythm of life. For many, that rhythm slows. Children leave the nest. The work that once gave structure to our days fades into memory. And what we're often left with is silence, stillness. But within that silence, a longing often stirs, a longing for companionship. And so it's not surprising that more and more elderly individuals are turning to remarriage as a way to reclaim a sense of closeness and shared life. In our modern society, love and partnership are no longer reserved for the young. In fact, they might matter more than ever in old age. Yet while remarriage later in life can bring joy, warmth, and a renewed sense of purpose, it also comes with its own set of unique challenges just that aren't always discussed openly. Because to truly succeed in love at any age, one thing is non-negotiable: understanding, empathy, tolerance. Without these, even the most promising relationships can unravel. Let's talk about something few dare to mention: the subtle, natural scent that can come with aging. It's a topic that makes many uncomfortable, but it's real. And without compassion, small issues like these can grow into insurmountable obstacles. This brings us back to Mr. Tan, a man whose life seemed to follow a path many can relate to. He was 65, a widower, and after years of enduring the cold silence of an empty home, he longed for something more. Not luxury, not adventure, but connection. Through a friend, he was introduced to Mrs. May, a warm and kind 62-year-old woman. Their first meetings were full of laughter and promise, and after some time they made the brave choice to marry. But just 5 days into their new life together, everything fell apart. Why? Because of a smell. Mrs. Mai voiced her discomfort, saying Mr. Tan had a strange body odor that made her feel uneasy, hurt, and blindsided. Mr. Tan felt judged, felt rejected for something he didn't even realize was a problem. In his eyes, she was being overly sensitive. In hers, it was a daily discomfort. Two hearts both seeking warmth, now divided by a single invisible wall. Let's take a deeper look into Mr. Tan's experience in his own words. I'm 65 years old, and these past few weeks have brought more sadness than I imagined possible at my age. I thought I'd found a new chapter of joy, but instead I was forced to face an unexpected ending. I had to end my marriage after just 5 days. It sounds unbelievable even to me. And the reason was a smell. I keep replaying everything in my head, and the more I think, the more I ache. I truly don't believe I did anything wrong, and it just feels like cruel timing, or maybe fate had other plans. Years ago, I married the love of my life after 2 beautiful years of dating. Our marriage was gentle, full of understanding. I adored her, and she returned that love with care and warmth that lit up every corner of our life. I imagined we'd grow old together, hand in hand, but life doesn't always go the way we hope. When I was 45, she passed away in a tragic accident. One moment she was here and the next, gone. Her absence shattered me. The silence she left behind was unbearable. But I had no choice. I had 2 children to raise. I buried my pain and gave everything to them. Remarriage. It wasn't even a thought. How could it be? They were young. They needed me. And honestly, I thought I could endure anything as long as I had a purpose. For 15 years, I worked, I raised them, I stayed strong. By the time I retired at 60, they were married, they had lives of their own, and I moved into a small home by myself. At first, it was peaceful. Everyone said how lucky I was to live alone to finally enjoy life on my terms. I could sleep when I wanted, eat what I liked, travel freely. And for a while, that freedom was thrilling. But then the silence returned, heavier than ever. Days began to blur. The joy of small things brewing, morning tea, watching the rain, reading a book faded when there was no one to share them with. The house felt too big, too quiet, too hollow. When I got sick or needed help, I was alone. My children were busy with their own families. Visits were rare, reserved for holidays. And I understood, I truly did, but it didn't make the loneliness any easier. By 65, I realized I needed something more. Someone more. Not just a helper or a friend. A companion, a partner to walk with me through this final stretch of life. That's when I met Mrs. May. Mrs. May was 4 years younger than me, and from the very first moment I met her, I felt drawn to her gentle warmth, her quiet charm, and her natural kindness. She wasn't just pleasant, she was captivating. There was something dignified about her, a grace that age had not dulled. Though no longer in her youth, she carried herself with elegance and confidence that made her presence impossible to ignore. She had once worked in the cultural sector, and her experience gave her a certain poise. Her figure was still well maintained, her demeanor composed, and her eyes sparkled with an inner light. In many ways, she embodied everything I had come to value in a partner: warmth, strength, maturity, and a shared understanding of life's ups and downs. To my relief, her first impression of me was also positive. We were both retired, which meant we had the luxury of time, something we used generously to get to know one another. We began meeting regularly, either at my invitation or hers. We would take long walks together, talk about everything from childhood memories to the quiet dreams we still held, and simply enjoy each other's company. Mrs. Mai began visiting my home more often. She didn't just come as a guest, she brought life into the space. She tidied up, helped with chores, and even washed my clothes on occasion. Her presence filled the silence. I had grown used to bringing a renewed energy to my home. I found myself smiling more, laughing more. The gray cloud that had settled over my spirit for years began to slowly lift. With her by my side, I felt less alone. I felt stronger, braver even, as if I could take on the unknown challenges of old age without fear. After 6 months of companionship that only grew deeper with time, I realized I want more. I wanted to build a life with her. Before making any decisions, I turned to my 2 children. I asked for their thoughts about me marrying again, specifically about marrying Mrs. Mai. Their support was immediate and wholehearted. They had no objections, and that approval gave me the confidence to move forward. Together, Mrs. Mai and I agreed to formalize our bond with marriage. I wanted her to feel secure, so I did everything I could to show my sincerity and commitment. I entrusted her with my monthly pension, over 5 million VND, to manage as she wished. I even transferred my savings book, my house ownership documents, and other personal papers into her care. I wanted her to know I had nothing to hide. In addition, I made a promise: if she treated me with kindness and honesty, the house, 3 bedrooms and 100 square meters, would be hers after I passed. My children were also supportive of this decision. To me, this was more than just trust. It was my way of saying, this is your home too. But life doesn't always reward trust with joy. What happened next was something I could never have predicted, and it left me deeply shaken. On our very first night as husband and wife, as we began living under the same roof, Mrs. Mai hesitated. She turned to me with a troubled expression and said something that stunned me. She couldn't bear my scent. She claimed I had an unpleasant body odor that made her feel physically uncomfortable. I was embarrassed, bewildered. I had never heard this before. I had never noticed it myself. Still, I took her words seriously. That night, I showered meticulously, scrubbing with soap shower gel and warm water for over an hour. I was determined to eliminate any hint of odor. If you've made it this far into the story, I appreciate you. Please comment 1 below to let me know you're still watching. Your time and attention means so much. Despite my efforts, Mrs. Mai continued to complain. She held her nose. She made faces. She said the smell remained. Wanting to avoid confrontation, I offered to sleep in another room, but her comments echoed in my mind throughout the night. I lay there wide awake, my heart heavy with shame and confusion. How could our marriage begin this way? The next morning, I approached her calmly, hoping for understanding. I asked her directly, did she really find my scent that unbearable? Her answer was simple but crushing. Yeah. She explained that during our time together before the wedding, she hadn't noticed anything unusual. But now that we were living closely, she became aware of what she described as an elderly smell. Determined to fix the issue, I sought medical advice. The doctor explained that this phenomenon is natural. As people age, changes in the body can lead to a distinct scent commonly known as non-enal. It's harmless but difficult to mask. The doctor recommended frequent showers, using antibacterial soap, keeping the house well ventilated, and even suggested using perfume to help. I followed every suggestion. I spent over $1 million on a luxury bottle of perfume, and I showered more often. I cleaned every corner of the house, hoping it would help. But none of it seemed to make a difference. Mrs. May's complaints only grew louder. She began saying that the entire house smelled like me and that she found it intolerable. The air, the furniture, even the clothes carried the scent she couldn't stand. We continued sleeping in separate rooms. I tried not to let my hurt show. I didn't blame her. I didn't argue. I kept hoping that things would improve. But on the fifth night, something inside me broke. That evening, I showered again, scrubbing harder than ever before, and applied the perfume liberally. I stepped into the bedroom, feeling clean and hopeful. But Mrs. May recoiled. She covered her nose and said, "Even perfume can't cover it. My eyes are burning. I feel sick. Please understand." Her words pierced through me. At that moment, I snapped. I said, "I don't believe I smell that bad. If you don't want to live with me, just say it. Stop hiding behind excuses." We argued. It was the first real argument we'd had, and it was ugly. In frustration, I told her that if she truly couldn't accept me, we should consider divorce. That night, I slept in the guest room. Neither of us said a word. The silence was painful. By morning, Mrs. May packed her bags and left. She didn't offer an explanation. She didn't say goodbye. I didn't stop her. Shortly after we completed the divorce, our marriage had lasted only 5 days. This experience taught me a hard, painful lesson. I had entered the marriage with genuine hope for partnership, for mutual care and understanding. But what I discovered is that remarriage is not always the answer to loneliness. Sometimes it only reveals wounds we didn't know we still carried, despite everything I've chosen to embrace life on my own terms again. I now understand that age brings changes that cannot be helped and not everyone can accept them. But deep inside, I still carry a quiet hope. Maybe someday I'll meet someone who sees past the imperfections. Someone who values companionship over appearances. Someone who chooses understanding over judgment. And if that never comes, at least, I'll know that I tried. Even after everything that happened with Mrs. May, I've chosen not to dwell on regret. I've come to realize not all stories are meant to last forever, but every story teaches you something. That brief, painful chapter in my life left me reflecting deeply on what truly matters as we grow older. In a world that constantly glorifies youth, perfection, and productivity, what does it really mean to grow old with dignity, peace, and hope? I no longer seek perfection. What I desire now is someone who will walk beside me, not just in the bright days, but in the twilight of life. Someone who will stay through the quiet evenings, who understands the unspoken fears that come with aging, and who offers warmth without conditions. Until that person arrives, or even if they never do, I've made a vow to myself to let go of the past, to treat myself with kindness, and to live with acceptance. Because the truth is, not everything in life needs to be fixed, forced, or figured out. I've learned to forgive myself and others. I've opened my heart to the future not because it guarantees joy, but because it carries possibility. These have become my quiet guiding principles: acceptance, forgiveness, and openness. And if you're listening to this right now, if there's something you still want to try, something your heart whispers for, don't let your age stop you. The best time to begin isn't when the world says it's appropriate. It's when your soul says, "I'm ready." Too often society tells us that aging means fading, that we're past our prime, that we're no longer useful. Some people begin to believe that lie. They look at their hands, their reflection, their slower pace, and think their best days are behind them. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Each stage of life holds its own kind of beauty, its own opportunities. You can still grow, still evolve, still become the most authentic version of yourself. Just look at the story of an elderly woman over 90 years old who became unexpectedly famous on social media. She wasn't chasing fame. She simply continued doing what she loved, running not one but 7 small food stalls. Every evening, well into the night, she worked with energy and purpose. When someone asked her if she ever felt exhausted at her age, her reply was unforgettable. If you do what you love, you'll never feel tired. And if you do feel tired, that too can be joy. What a powerful way to see life. Her story is proof passion has no age. Purpose doesn't come with an expiration date. Even after 9 decades, she knew what gave her joy, and she pursued it without hesitation. That kind of fire, that clarity is rare and precious. It reminds me that age is just a number. It doesn't define your ability, your dreams, or your worth. What matters is your willingness to try, to keep moving, to stay curious. So if you've been holding on to a dream, start today, not tomorrow. Confidence isn't about knowing everything. It's about choosing not to be ruled by fear, especially fear of aging. Because even if things don't go exactly as you hope, the journey will still be worth it. You'll gather experiences that bring deep meaning. You'll meet people who leave a mark. You'll find fulfillment in the trying. As long as you're putting in effort, being honest with yourself, and staying open, you'll never feel like life has passed you by. And don't underestimate the power of learning new things. No matter your age, curiosity keeps the spirit alive. I once heard a line from a woman named Ms. Jun Kin that stayed with me. I lived to old age and I never stopped learning. And she meant it. She was a writer, constantly reading, writing, and evolving her craft. She didn't see aging as an excuse to slow down her mind. Quite the opposite, she used it as fuel. Her story is a reminder. It's not physical aging that isolates us. It's the refusal to grow, to adapt, to explore. Technology, for example, moves fast. But instead of shying away from it, many older people today are learning how to use smartphones, video calls, even joining online communities to share hobbies, recipes, book discussions. Some read ebooks, others post short videos, and some simply use it to see the faces of their grandchildren. Yes, learning new things takes longer now. But every small victory, every app learned, every video call made, is a bridge that keeps us connected. And connection matters. So don't fear change. Don't reject the new just because it's unfamiliar. Life is constantly moving forward. Join it. Because when you stop growing, stop learning, and close your heart to change, that's when you truly grow old. Not before. If you're still here with me, still listening to these reflections, I'm truly grateful. Please comment below to let me know you're still watching. Your presence matters more than you know. And as you age, one more truth becomes clear: learning how to say goodbye with grace is just as important as learning how to say hello. Life is full of meetings and partings. People leave, time moves on, and places once familiar become distant memories. It's a rhythm that none of us can control. Many of us fear these goodbyes. We dread losing what we love, be it a homeland, a routine, or a person. But these separations teach us something too. They teach resilience. They remind us to cherish the present, to love more intentionally, to be fully here. There's a line from the film Spirited Away that I often think of. Life is like a train heading straight for the cemetery. Very few people stay with you until the end of the journey. Most people come and go. That's not a tragedy, it's just how life works. So instead of holding on too tightly, we should learn to appreciate those who are with us now, to love them well, and to avoid wasting time on disappointment or regret. Separation is not failure, it's part of the human experience. And finally, aging with grace also means protecting your independence. Yes, our children have obligations to us, but they also have their own lives, jobs, families, pressures we may never fully see. Relying too much on them can cause strained discomfort or even quiet resentment. Living with them might seem convenient, but different habits, lifestyles, and rhythms can lead to conflict. In your own home, no matter how modest, you are free. You can eat when you like, sleep when you want, watch what you enjoy. That freedom is dignity. Even if your children love you deeply, keeping your independence is a gift to them and to yourself. It preserves harmony. It reduces unspoken burdens. It keeps your relationships rooted in love, not obligation. Aging well is not about resisting time. It's about embracing each moment as it comes with courage, flexibility, and joy. Show the world that aging doesn't mean fading. It means refining. It means becoming wiser, kinder, and more attuned to what truly matters. So I ask you, what part of today's story moved you most? What will you take with you as you walk your own path? We'd love to hear from you. What's one insight you're taking away from today's story? Share it in the comments. Your reflections and experiences might just inspire someone else too. If this video touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep creating meaningful content that speaks to the soul. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.